Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Wahar, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to my apostles and elders at Great Millstone, the men that taught us the truth through the Spirit. Peace and blessings to the elect of the house of Israel that is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, which starts with the 144,000. This lesson is going to be in response to Nasty Nate himself, man. Or he's known as General Nathaniel, aka Bishop Nathaniel. And he had posted this on his Instagram page. And as you can see, it has the so-called Jew. It says, State of Israel is born. Tel Aviv is bombed. U.S. recognized Jewish state, 1948. But underneath the photo, he has Daniel's 11 and 14. And in those times, there shall many stand up against the king of the south. Also, the robbers, he has robbers highlighted, of thy people shall exhort themselves to establish the vision, but they shall fall. www is like that, blah, 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 right? And I find it fascinating that he recently just did a breakdown on Revelations 20, and he highlighted Ezekiel 38. And he said that don't listen to people that says Ezekiel 38 has anything to do with today. But here he go and made Daniel 11, chapter 11, verse 14, and apply it to today. I find that fascinating. So let's hear from the General Nathaniel God himself.
Don't let black Hebrew Israelites fool you into saying
Daniel chapter 11
is today. These black Hebrew Israelites get that dumb doctrine from Christians.
Daniel chapter 11.
So that's today.
And it's not. You heard it from the bishop mouth himself, man. Daniel chapter 11 is not talking about so-called Jews or 1948ers, as we label them, right? Now let's get into the scriptures. When you read the book of Daniel, chapter 11, this is dealing with the 6 Syrian wars. This is dealing with the Greek Empire, the Hellenic Empire, okay? Also known as the Greek Empire, right? When you read the book of Daniel, it goes into the empires that was going to rule the world at the time they was going to rule. So him trying to reference Daniel 11 and 14 and try to say that the robbers shall exalt themselves to establish the vision is talking about so-called Jews is incorrect. You can't even precept that, right? You can't even extrapolate that. Nothing about this verse is dealing with so-called Jews, right? So this is the book of Daniel. To get understanding of verse 14, you got to start at 13. So this is Daniel 11 and 13. And this is a lot. When I mean a lot, this is a lot of history, right? And in the words of my elder brother, my big bro, Ariala, he says, warning, warning, warning. Put your thinking caps on. We're going to look up words. We're going to look up etymology. We're going to go into the Hebrew, the Greek, the Latin. We are going to look up history. We're going to read articles. This is not a controversial video, right? This is one of them lessons that don't get a lot of views because it's dealing with history. And you know, Jake don't like nothing dealing with education. When he has to sit there and soak up and learn. If it ain't drama, gossip, or bullshit, Jake doesn't want nothing to do with it. So let's get into it, man. You've been warned. Daniel 11:13. For the king of the north shall return, and shall set forth a multitude greater than the former, and shall certainly come after certain years with a great army and with much riches. So now when you look into this, right? This is going into the 4th Syrian war. This is going into the 4th Syrian war. And the 2 rulers at this time was Antiochus III and Ptolemy the 4th Philometor, right? And this is going into the 4th Syrian war, 219 BC to 217 BC. It was known as the Battle of Raphia, right? So now it says, the king of the north shall return. Why is he returning? Because he lost to Ptolemy the 4th Philometor, right? So it says, upon taking the Seleucid stone, 223 BC, Antiochus III the Great, 241 to 187 BC, set himself the task of restoring the Lord's imperial possessions of Seleucus I, Nicator, which extended from Greco-Bactrian kingdom in the east, the Hellespont in the north, and Syria in the south. And these are all countries in the land of Greece, or what you know as Europe today, right? This was the known world at that time. So it says, and Syria in the south, about 221 BC, he had re-established Seleucus' control over Media and Persia, which had been in rebellion. The ambitious king turned his eyes to Assyria and Egypt. Egypt had been significantly weakened by court intrigue and public arrest. The rule of the newly inaugurated Ptolemy IV Philopator, reigned 221 to 204 BC, began with the murder of Queen Mother Bernice II. The young king quickly fell under absolute influence of imperial countries. His ministers used the absolute power in their own self-interest to the people great charging. Antiochus sought to take advantage of this chaotic situation after an invasion in 221 BC failed to launch. He finally began the Fourth Syrian War in 219 BC. He recaptured Seleucia, Persia, as well as cities in Phoenicia, amongst them Tyre. Rather than promptly invading Egypt, Antiochus waited in Phoenicia for over a year, consolidating his new territories and listening to diplomatic proposals from the Ptolemaic kingdom. Meanwhile, Ptolemy minister Sosobius began recruiting and training an army. He recruited not only from the local Greek population, as Hellenistic armies generally were, but he also from the native Egyptians, enrolling at least 30,000 natives, because you had Egyptians that didn't agree with Ptolemy, right? So all the other nations was trying to get their kingdom back. So that's why there was a lot of rebellions going on in the other nations, even though the Greeks was in rulership, right? So it says this innovation paid off, but it would eventually have dire consequences for Ptolemaic stability. In the summer of 217 BC, Ptolemy engaged and defeated the long-delayed Antiochus in the Battle of Raphia, the largest battle since the Battle of Ephesus over 8 years earlier. So it says, for the king of the north shall return and shall set forth a multitude greater than the former. So Antiochus III the Great lost the Battle of Raphia, right? And he went back to regroup. And he says, the multitude greater than the former, and shall certainly come after certain years with a great army and much riches. So now, when you look into that, right? The Treaty of Apia and Pamia was a peace treaty conducted in 1888 BC between the Roman Republic and Antiochus III, ruler of Seleucus Empire, and it ended the Roman-Seleucus War, right? And this is when Antiochus had to regroup. He made treaties with Rome because he was going to war with Rome at the time, right? This was a constant state of wars that was popping off. So not only you had the Syrian wars, you had the wars with Rome as well. And then Ptolemy had wars with Spartans, all right? So Rome and Antiochus III the Great end up making a treaty, and then together they came against Ptolemy again. So it says, and in those times there shall many stand up against the king of the south. So not only you had Antiochus III the Great, you had Rome that was backing up Antiochus III the Great. Not only that, you had rebellions that was going on in Egypt. You had the Egyptians at that time, or the Mizrahims at that time, that was rebelling against Ptolemy Philopator. And you also had Spartans that was rebelling against Ptolemy IV Philopator. So it says, also the robbers of thy people shall exalt themselves. So the robbers of thy people is not talking about 1948ers. It's not talking about small hats. It's talking about Israelites, in particular Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, right? Because these are the people that was in the land at the time. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi are the robbers of thy people. So this was Jake that was going off. This was Jake that was rebelling against the kings of Egypt, which was Ptolemy. And it says, and shall exalt themselves to establish the vision, because they knew that based off the prophecies that the Messiah was supposed to come. They knew that Israel was supposed to come back into power. So you had zealots, right, such as the Sicarii later on, but Israel always had zealots, people that did their own thing, or that try to rise up against the powers that be, right? And it says, but they shall fall. So I found this article. It says, this is Jewish Encyclopedia, the unedited full text, 1906 Jewish Encyclopedia. So this is Ptolemy IV, surnamed Philopator, by Richard Gotti Hill Samuel Corasis. So it says the king of Egypt, forgive me, I know it's a little. All right, the king of Egypt from 222 to 205 BC, hero of the events described in Daniel's 11 to 12. The passage in question refers to the battles between Antiochus the Great, more especially the decisive Battle of Raphia, 217 BC, in which Ptolemy won a brilliant victory, and by that very fact showed himself to be much more able ruler than the commonly supposed, which goes into verse 13, where it said that Antiochus the king of the north, had to regroup himself, right? 2 episodes in the Battle of Raphia are mentioned in 3rd Maccabees also, how a certain Theodatos, conducted by a Jew called Dostheus, son of Mylius, tries to murder Ptolemy in his sleep, but fails in his purpose, and how Ares' son, Arsinoe, sister of Egyptian king, incites the troops to fight bravely. 3rd Maccabees 1-7. Both accounts originated with Ploebius, verse 79, and hence are historical. Accordingly, the rest of the story narrated in 3rd Maccabees cannot be pure invention, although there are absurd details in which are doubtless due to the fact that the author is trying to glorify a great miracle. So there you go. That was the point on that. You had certain Jews that was zealots, right, that was trying to take down Ptolemy, and they end up failing. So I just wanted to wrap that up, man. Daniel 11 and 14 is dealing with the 4th Syrian War, and it's talking about Israelites, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, not so-called Jews, not Amalek, right? Talking about Israelites that rebelled against Ptolemy the 4th Philometor. I'm gonna play this one more time.
Don't let black Hebrew Israelites fool you into saying
Daniel chapter 11.
is today. These black Hebrew Israelites get that dumb doctrine from Christians.
Daniel chapter 11.
So that's today.
And it's not. I pray and hope that y'all was edified. I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Wahar, Bakakwadash. Leave your comments, leave your questions, do your responses. Until next time, I say Shalom.